Donald Trump's midterm election results were predicted to have been the focus of attention in America yesterday, but an explosive news conference that saw him attack members of the media ended up dominating the headlines by far. Well, today, the White House Correspondents Association has hit back at the Trump administration's decision to take away broadcaster CNN's reporter Jim Acosta's White House pass, following what was a feisty exchange that it claims saw the reporter place his hands on a White House intern.
Are you worried?
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, I was going to ask one of the other folks.
That's enough.
Pardon me, ma'am. Mr. President.
That's enough.
So that's the moment causing all the controversy. The reporter has called claims he acted unacceptably as a lie, and CNN has hit back, accusing the White House of making fraudulent allegations in retaliation for his challenging questions. Well, I'm joined now from Texas via Skype by Oliver McGee, a former senior White House advisor. Thanks very much for being with us on Sky News. What do you make of all this? Should Jim Acosta have lost his White House accreditation?
Well, I like to say that the president is a national security instrument. And more importantly, the president also reflects who we, the people, are as well. When we put Donald Trump into the White House, we expected a brawler, and that's exactly what we got. But also, the media is also brawling with the president. So when Donald Trump asked Jim Acosta that I need to move on, that's when Jim should have sat down and said, hey, I'll get you in another day with another question. I understand that he's trying to be a Sam Donaldson of ABC in a time with Ronald Reagan. And Sam Donaldson was challenging President Reagan in the news conferences, but he was doing it somewhat pretty respectfully. And then more importantly, gone are the days of UPI's Helen Thomas, who really shaped the questions of the shape of the press conference of the day and the agenda of the day, but she was always respectful to the office of the presidency. There is a dignity that goes with that, even though Donald Trump is going into the efficiency of being a brawler. We are looking at the advancements of communications technologies, Jonathan, and that is moving much, much faster.
Well, so many would say, of course, that the president is hardly being dignified. Reporters are challenging, as you say. Sometimes they may well be obnoxious, but isn't it a very dangerous precedent to start banning the reporters you don't like?
Well, I think that the left is probably talking about the freedom of the press, and that does walk a very, very difficult line. But also, the press has to know that they are guests of the White House at the pleasure of the president. FDR, when he was having press conferences at that time in that age, it used to be held privately in the Oval Office, so there were no cameras. Now, in the Trump age, there's cameras, there's social media, there's a temptation to get clickbait, and more importantly, these corporate entities are making tremendous amounts of money on the new ratings that come with Trump and the press conference. So Trump knows this. He's staging the magistry of the media press conference. So that's why you see it more entrepreneurial and free-for-all. But there is a line that both sides have to be careful that they're dealing with a national security instrument, and that when the president says no, he means no.
Yeah, but doesn't the president cross the line when he accuses the press of being enemies of the people?
Well, I think that's part of his staging and magistry, because the thing is that he also knows that he needs the press as much as they need him. CNN's ratings have doubled since Donald Trump came into the office. So they don't really want to necessarily kill Trumpism, because they're making buku bucks on Wall Street and making money at the bank. So they have to work with each other. But more importantly, again, the president reflects who the people are, and we don't really want to see an airplane crash on a press conference. We don't want to see a car crash. We may look at it, but then we're often wondering what's happening. Why are they basically being contentious? And is that informing the public about one of the important issues of the day? And yesterday's conference was about what happened in the midterms, and we didn't get talking about that. We were looking at two people basically arguing with each other, and that's not good.
Yeah, you make a very good point, Oliver. Is one of the problems now, do you think, that there aren't many broadcasters, perhaps broadcast journalists in America, who aren't partisan. Politics has become so divided now that it's quite hard to find an independent commentator.
Well, I think also that that's one of the reasons why I love appearing with you on Sky, because you're looking at it from across the ocean, so you're sort of like an honest broker. But here on the dance floor in America, this is how we do things. We really elected a brawler, and more importantly, I think the Democrats are going to look for in 2020 a brawler who can go up against a brawler with the GOP. But I don't think anybody can out-brawl Donald Trump in the American electorate. So that's going to be a tough call for the Democrats in the presidential choice to be able to get a good candidate to do that. They thought they had that with Hillary, but she proved that she couldn't brawl as well as Donald Trump. But she may run again, so she may have another chance, and she's probably learning right now. But this is what we do in the hot and heavy and very loud politics in America. I like coming on Sky because then I can go back and step back on off in the balcony and then basically see what's going on the dance floor, and you have a better view up here. And so that's what I'm enjoying doing the show with you now.
I'd be interested to get your view on this as well. We know Donald Trump has accused CNN of being biased. He's picked this fight with them. But then in Missouri, I think it was, last week, in the run-up to the midterms, he invited Fox News presenters up onto the campaign stage with him.
That's a little bit cutting edge. I think Fox was not quite happy about that, which is probably the reason why they called that election way too early at 8 p.m. when people were still voting 3 hours later in the West Coast and on the west side of the country. So both sides are really kind of pushing the edge of the envelope. But more
Oliver, I'm afraid I'm going to have to cut in there. Oliver McGee, thank you very much indeed. We're going to